right, let's set up our lab. What we're going to do is we're going to run through some of the common tools that we need, how to set them up and configure them, and then we're going to have a look at some of the basic functionality of those tools so that we're ready to dive in the next section. So let me just bring you over to the VM. Now, first things first, if you don't have Kali Linux installed, you need to go ahead and download either VMware or VirtualBox and install it. And if you're not sure how to do this, then there's a great video on the Cybermentor YouTube channel, which is Linux for Ethical Hackers 2022, full Kali Linux course. And if you go to the timestamp 253, which I think is the second section, this guides you through how to install Kali Linux virtual machine on either VMware or VirtualBox, whichever you prefer. Now that said, you don't actually have to use Kali Linux for this course. You can use whatever distribution you want, whether it's Windows, Linux, Mac OS, but as long as you have the tools like Postman and Burp Suite and you're able to route traffic from your browser with something like Foxy Proxy, which you can easily add to your Firefox, you should be good to go. So use whatever platform you want, but Kali makes it easy to get up and running and has most things ready to go. So I'm just going to close this, and what we're going to do first is install Postman. So I'm just going to go to Firefox. We're going to come to Google, and then I'm just going to search for Postman download. And the postman.com and the downloads page is what we want. So I just come down to here, Linux x64, and then I just save this file. And it'll take a minute or so to download, depending on your internet speed. Now that that's downloaded, I'm just going to come up to the menu and come to a terminal, and then cd into downloads. And you can see we have our Postman file. So to unzip this, we just do tar xvf vzf. I always forget the command to unzip. Yeah, tar xvzf. And that's going to unzip this. And you can see that we have Postman. Now, this isn't the ideal location for it, but we're going to quickly test that it's all working okay. So we just cd into the folder and then /postman. Hit enter. And if it runs and you get this GUI window, then you know you're good to go. Now, feel free to sign up a free account for Postman if you want to, or you can come in and just skip and go straight into the application. And we should be good to go. I'm going to close this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move this to my ops folder because I don't want Postman residing in my downloads folder. So I'm going to come back up to downloads, and we need sudo to move to opt. So I'm just going to sudo move, Postman to /opt. Type in the password, which by default, if it's a new installation, is Kali. And then if we cd into opt, you can see that it's here. And there is one other thing that I want to do as well. So to run Postman, I now need to go opt Postman, which is kind of a lot of effort. Let me just close this again. So I'm going to add a link. And to do this, all we need to do is sudo ln and -s. And then I'm going to go opt Postman, and then I'm going to place this link in user bin Postman. And now when I type Postman, it's going to run Postman, which makes life a little bit easier for us. So good to keep our virtual machine in nice, smooth working order. Now, if you're having trouble with Postman, obviously it's a pretty popular tool, so a little bit of Googling goes a long way. But if you're really stuck, drop into the Discord and we'll be happy to help you out. So next up, we need Foxy Proxy. So I'm just going to come back to Google and come and search for Foxy Proxy. And we have Foxy Proxy Standard. Add to Firefox. Click Add. And you can see it comes up here. And what we want to do is we want to come in here, click Options. Click Add, and then I'm just going to call this 8080 because this is the ports that I'll be routing traffic on, but you can call it anything like, Burp Suite or Cheesecake or whatever you want, really. And then feel free to set a color. So I'm just going to set this to blue. And then we want HTTP proxy 127.0.0.1 and click save. And now you can see when we click on Foxy Proxy, if we click on 8080 here, we're going to be routing our traffic through 8080, although this isn't going to work because our proxy isn't running currently. We'll get a proxy servers refusing connections, but you can easily switch it on and off. So let's open up Burp Suite. So you should have Burp Suite already ready to go. We just click Next, Start Burp Suite. Click OK. And what we want to do is switch on our proxy. And we want to come to, http://burp. And you'll see we have a CA certificate here. So we need to go ahead and download this certificate. So just save this. This is so Burp Suite can intercept HTTPS traffic. And then we come to settings, I think privacy and security. We'll scroll down to certificates, click view certificates, and then click imports and double click the downloaded certificate. Now, I think I already did this, so I already have this certificate installed as a certificate authority, but yours, what it'll do is it'll pop up and it'll say, hey, do you want to trust this certificate to identify websites and or emails? You can just check the websites one and then click OK, and you should get a message saying successfully imported. So now with our proxy, switched on, we can browse to things like Google or any other website that uses HTTPS traffic. Now, if yours is hanging like mine is, it's probably because you have intercept switched on. So you can just come in proxy intercept, switch that off, and then everything should work okay. Note that even when intercept is off, the traffic is still flowing through the proxy. It's just you need to come to HTTP history to see it, and it's not going to hold it for review or modification before sending it on, if that makes sense. One other thing to note is that if you prefer, you can come to proxy intercept and open browser, and this will open a Chromium browser, and the traffic will also go to Burp Suite. So if I go to YouTube, for example, and then I come back to HTTP history, you can see that this traffic is being caught in the proxy. So it's up to you which you use. I like to use both because basically Firefox lets me switch the proxy on and off, which is quite handy. Also worth noting that browsers have slightly different behavior, especially with things with like same site lax being default on Chrome. So when you're testing websites, you might want to test across different browsers. If you're doing A/B testing with like user A and user B, comparing their privileges or looking at how they interact together, having one running in Firefox, which is routing traffic through your proxy, and one running in Chrome is really, really handy to have as well. So make use of them how you see fit. And throughout the course, you'll see me doing this from time to time, and hopefully you can pick up on some tips to make your workflow methodology a little bit smoother.